We are joined with the one and only STYXHEXENHAMMER 666. If you don't know who he is, well, he will introduce himself right now. Hey, Styx, how's it going?
Hi, I'm going pretty well.
So could you just tell our audience a quick sort of rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yep, I'm a YouTuber, editor, and author from the state of Vermont.
I've been a listener of your channel for quite a while, followed you on YouTube, following your updates on stuff. I always thought you had the best predictions on elections and just politics in general. Have you guys been listeners of Styx?
Yeah, I have. I've always been listening to a lot of his commentary. Just one recently, I was listening to him talking about Varg. I'm a bit of a metalhead, so I kind of know what goes on in the black metal scene. So when he was talking about it, I was pretty excited.
There you go, got one metal fan here. Do you have any input on that?
I've been listening to him for a long time too. I've always found his insight to be probably some of the best insight on YouTube. A lot of the stuff that you hear on YouTube is very biased, very, I don't know, like one-sided. And he Styx appears very. The insight is really, really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. So the reason because Phil actually is the one here that asked to have him on, which I was gracious to have him reach out and then Styx come on. But the main thing we want to talk about now is the Vox adpocalypse, which has been sweeping the interwebs this past week. Because Vox, if you don't know, has this guy Carlos Maza, and Steven Crowder kind of makes fun of him in videos, and now he's gotten so triggered by it that he's actually trying to ban Crowder just from the platform completely, and maybe even the whole entire internet. And this has resulted in YouTube now demonetizing his channel. And we know that Styx here is a popular YouTuber. He has, I think, over at least 350,000 subs. And
yeah, about 370,000.
Yeah, there you go. You're almost at 400,000. And you've been very successful. I'm just going to ask real quickly, one, what is the... what do you think is the real main intent of Vox here? Are they trying to remove all conservatives, any dissidents, or are they just trying to go after Crowder himself? What's the real end goal here?
The end goal is that Vox doesn't want to compete with any YouTubers. It wants to be a YouTuber. And so by trying to get YouTube and similar groups to deplatform people like Crowder or myself or, any of a million other people, they can make more money. It's worth noting as well, Tim Pool actually uploaded a video less than an hour ago on this subject, which is quite good as well.
Yeah, I'm a follower of Tim Pool as well. I always think his news videos are always a great, fair, just rundown of the news and with a fair opinion as well, too. I really like his work, too. But has Vox actually tried to target you in any way?
No, I get defamed by BuzzFeed. Oh. I guess I'm not big enough for Vox yet.
Yeah. Oh, they'll probably come after you soon, I bet.
Oh, probably.
What do you think is the next move for Crowder?
I think that he should ignore Vox entirely and just satirize them and keep doing exactly what he's doing, but he needs to branch out into all tech. I know he's got a BitChute channel, actually. He hasn't talked about too much. I'm not sure if he's on Minds or Gab.
Yeah, I don't think he's on Minds or Gab, but he's definitely on some of the other alternatives like BitChute. I know you're really big on BitChute, too. What do you think about BitChute?
Well, I just hit 44,000 subs on there. I'm the biggest user. I obviously like the platform. But the thing is, the best thing about BitChute is I can communicate actually with the people that are, sort of running it, sort of organizing things, and therefore I can have some trust that it's not just like a sham like some sites have been.
Yeah. Well, I've heard many of these sort of conservative types, they'll be calling, not just the people that are banned, but some of the people still on, they'll either be calling for regulation or moving to these alt tech platforms. Obviously, you've, not kept all your eggs in one basket, which is really smart, because if you're taking out YouTube, you're still on BitChute. But do you see the future being everybody that's, interesting, free speech, provocative, fun, or even just to the right of Stalin is going to be on these alternatives, or are they going to have to regulate big tech?
Well, it's like earlier, and this is going to be a video for tomorrow, teaser for people if they're subscribers. Caleb Kane just came out and did a sort of a thing with the New York Times, talking about how he was led down the alt-right rabbit hole, and talking about like James DeFrancis and Paul Joseph Watson of all people are on this list. Yeah. But like the thing is, this is straight out of the satanic panic sort of mentality. If you look back at some of the stuff that was made then, people would blame the devil for their bad deeds. And he feels guilty about his life, so he wants to blame YouTubers. And it's the same thing, and in a few years this will be passé, and a lot of the people that right now are joining with BuzzFeed, Vox, and so forth, and they're talking about how bad people like we are.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go back years later and they'll say, well, no, we never believed those sorts of things. We always knew that it was superstitious nonsense, that it was led for political reasons, and corporations were trying to make money, and they'll have a cop-out. But until then, we have to deal with their nonsense, basically.
Yeah, I kind of see it the same way. I have a big fan who can't get on right now, unfortunately, because the Discord isn't working on here. But he's wondering if BitChute will actually overtake YouTube at this current rate. Do you think that's foreseeable in the future?
It's possible. I have no way of knowing. YouTube, it never thought, years and years ago, I never thought would be as big as it is.
Yeah.
It's the same as Facebook or any of these other sites.
Do you think YouTube will actually fix its demonetization feature? Because I noticed it's going like so ridiculous where people with math videos are getting demonetized. A channel with just nature videos and just recording the sounds of nature is getting demonetized.
Yeah. Eli the computer guy.
Yes.
Got he got his live stream turned off for some content thing. He's been doing that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Has like 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Like they just like and the thing is, it all happened on the same day. It's like it's so ridiculous.
What do you think of that, Styx?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But the thing is, I never monetized to begin with, so I'm a little bit out of the loop when it comes to those things. Because I never used AdSense. I always thought that crowdfunding was better because I always use ad blocking software. So I figured I didn't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions you'd like to ask?
No, I don't.
What about you, Phil?
Well, I just want to like with BitChute, because you are the guy essentially, right? Like for the time being, I guess. I don't know where BitChute ends up. What makes it so attractive versus like some of the other alternatives?
With BitChute, are you asking me? Or?
Yeah. Because like you're the guy.
Yeah, you're the king of BitChute.
Well, it's easier to use. Like I've used DTube and some things before, but they're harder to use than BitChute is. It's more like YouTube, number one. It's like YouTube before YouTube became more refined post Google. Like YouTube was only in like 480 and had lower audio quality buffering problems. And it's also P2P. The thing is, if it's peer-to-peer, it costs less for them to host things, which means that things can be a little bit more streamlined in the future, depending on what they do. And I do know there are some developments with BitChute that I won't go into. I think that they can run a profit and not have a whole problem with storing, data or anything. Mm-hmm. Which YouTube has had continuous problems. They're losing money right now.
Yeah, YouTube is honestly, even though it's such a big platform, when you get that big, you're running into problems that smaller alternatives like BitChute aren't going to have, which is, like as you described, a great positive. But another interesting angle I've seen to this was from Milo Yiannopoulos' Telegram channel. As someone who has been literally just wiped off the internet, he's now, and a bunch of other people are on Telegram creating these channels. And one idea he was pushing, I mean, he seems definitely to have a little bit of personal problems with Steven Crowder, but he, on a more I guess you could say philosophical or strategical standpoint, he was pushing for Crowder to be banned because he thinks it will take these bigger conservatives like Steven Crowder, who has I think almost 4 million subscribers now, to be banned for actual mainstream conservatives to actually start caring about this. Do you think that's a good strategy? Is that going to be dangerous, or is that what it's going to take?
Wait, Milo said that?
Yeah, Milo said that.
I would totally disagree. Look, InfoWars got banned, and the world barely batted an eye. The only thing we can do at this point, number one, we can innovate. That is all tech. Number two, creators can stand together, shout one another out, buff themselves up, and we become more powerful, which makes it harder to deplatform us. It makes it more conspicuous when we're gone. It makes it more painful for the establishment. And number three, we can use the political process maybe to try to help the situation, but ultimately, like, there was an article a few days ago where, what was it, Slate, I think, was saying, oh, we need to return to the golden age of broadcast regulation, regulate the internet. And it's like, well, then I can't say poop, on YouTube without getting censored or something. No thanks. But I think the other thing is we can simply wait. If we defend things the way that we have been, roughly, keep creating content, keep speaking out, don't be afraid, eventually the paradigm shifts over, the censorship goes away because it falls out of fashion, which it always has in the past.
I'm, as you probably are guessing, we're a more conservative-leaning individuals here on this radio show, but I'm, the biggest supporter of free speech you'll ever meet. I personally feel that we're going to need regulation on this because I don't think it's going to stop with just these right-wing people. I think you're going to start seeing some moderate left-wing people like Dave Rubin, I don't even know if called Joe Rogan left-wing, but more censor people are going to start getting kicked off, and they're going to get really mad, and they will start pushing for it.
It's already happened.
Oh, yeah, we're seeing journalist, I forget his name, but I was trying to get him on, or you and I were both trying to get him on the show today, Phil and I, and he couldn't, I think his videos were demonetized, and he's just a regular journalist. Like, where is this going to stop? Is it going to just stop as everybody moves to an alternative? I mean, there's no end in sight at this point.
Well, they've been doing that on Facebook for months now. Cop Block and a bunch of other groups got kicked off. They were run by a bunch of liberals from yesteryear that were like Obama fans and stuff. I can remember that from the Zeitgeist era.
Well, I think that's almost like there was this one account that was they removed because they thought it was a Russian bot or a Russian source, and it was like a Black Lives Matter supporter or something. So, with sites this big, how can they even regulate all of these people? Because there's just so much content.
For all of your listeners out there, let me ask them a rhetorical question. If Facebook says that some group is run by Russians or by Russian bots, how is it that the little people are supposed to know that that's not a full of crap claim?
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah, exactly. You really can't answer that question unless, as you're seeing now also, this is maybe going a little on a tangent, you're having mainstream outlets like the Daily Beast and CNN doxing people that make memes. Are they going to start doing that to other people? What do you think of that? Do you think that's going to become a bigger issue?
Well, doxing's always been kind of a big issue. That's why I put my real address out there like a decade ago so that nobody could dox me.
Yeah, that's the best way to get around it. Have you ever heard of the site stream.me by chance?
No, I haven't.
Well, there was like some random drop-offs from it of some big names, but sites like that were becoming a alternative for people like Andy Worski, who was, I think, demonetized and banned from YouTube, to be on another alternative. But let's say the domain of stream.me gets pulled. Let's say these domains get pulled. Let's see, like PayPal now, you can't donate to people. Is it gonna, like, how are we gonna prevent just conservatives from not getting banned from using their credit cards or other things like their bank accounts? Because I don't, to be honest, know all the laws in place. I'm still a little young, not quite into the real world yet. But do you see of some big problem happening there? Because I don't, to be honest, know.
Banks are kicking people off of their accounts and stuff like that for political views is disgraceful, and Chase especially should be disgraced and boycotted by everyone. People should look into local credit unions, number one, but also use Subscribestar for crowdfunding, and PayPal is totally vestigial anyway. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Like eBay has taken steps now to do. There are certain vendors that won't even let you use PayPal now. They'll only take card.
Well, I think Milo, for example, I know he's been banned from Patreon, banned from Subscribestar too, I think, and I think PayPal. People have
Milo
to-
was banned from Subscribestar.
I think so. I could be totally wrong on that, but
I'll look into that myself.
yeah, we'll definitely need to fact check it. But the point still will stand is that he's been consistently removed from every new platform he tries to go on, and sometimes it's gonna or at some point it's gonna hit a point where there's gonna be no platform except some little one. It makes you wonder that crypto might actually be the future for this.
Well, crypto is pretty great. I hold Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that I did not sell it off a couple months ago.
Yeah. I know everybody was selling off because they thought, oh, they're gonna make a lot of money now, but to be honest, it's probably the safest currency out there.
There's a bear trap going on right now. I'm convinced, so I'm holding it.
Yeah. Who do you think, though, is the ultimate gatekeepers in terms of these domains and payment processes? This is other big fans wants us to ask you this.
There's no single gatekeeper. The thing is, they formed like a trust. It's not a monopoly. A monopoly would be like Google runs the whole internet.
Mm-hmm.
With a trust, it's more like Google, Apple, Facebook, and a bunch of other groups do, and they simply coordinate loosely with each other with the same goals in mind. It's like when people get kicked off these platforms, it's all about money. A lot of people think it's more about politics, but I've seen people on the left get, screwed over too, like, again, Cop Block and similar groups.
Yeah.
There have been people who are self-proclaimed liberals that have been banned. The next thing they'll come for is the far left, ironically. They're going to go for the progressives, and then people on the right that have already been to platform will cheer, and they'll say, well, I guess that this tech censorship isn't that bad. Ha, they've seen the light, and they're going to be celebrating their own demise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was on Bill Maher's show. I forget who they were talking about. It was Alex Jones, and Alex Jones got banned from literally the internet. Bill Maher mentioned it, and his audience cheered, and he's like, no. We need free speech. We need these people out there. Even though Bill Maher, think Alex Jones is a crazy loon, we need these ideas out there. And
Bill Maher is an interesting dude.
Yeah, he's very interesting. I mean, I disagree on most of his politics, but on religion and a few other things I'll agree with him on. But I have to give him credit where credit's due. He is principled on free speech.
Mostly.
Except
he's praying for a recession.
That's true. I forgot about that. And that's the depressing thing is, like, you even find these guys like him where you're like, oh, maybe they're not so bad as, like the right-wing media will spin them to be. And then you see stuff like that, and it's like, why? Come on.
It's sad. Bill Maher is the sane one.
Yeah.
That should scare us.
Yeah. Well, the left keeps moving further left, and that's why, it's become hard to find anyone in the center anymore, except maybe your neighbor that's a, average lefty. But I think that's all I basically want to ask. You want to ask anything else, Phil? I know you always have something to say.
Well, no, I like with YouTube is like really, obviously YouTube's like really huge. I was looking up a statistic. They upload 500 hours of content per 500,000 hours
every day.
Yeah. Like, that's nuts. And I'm like, how can YouTube regulate? How can YouTube regulate anything with that much traffic going on? Like, there's not enough of people. There's not enough of algorithms. There's not enough to accurately pull something like that off. Like, how do you go So I do they do the lazy thing? Do they just run the algorithms, and then if there's an issue, then they have people trying to, because that's scary too, because you got, like, look, they're out in Central California, Bay Area, California. That's nuts.
Can I put a little bit of a somewhat conspiracy theory out here?
Sure, we love conspiracies.
Yeah. YouTube is waiting to declare itself a publisher or a platform until its AI is good enough that it can be a publisher and not worry about the legal repercussions, because it'll be able to filter out 99.9% of everything without a human.
Honestly, that's possible. Because
they're saving off Congress as long as they can. They're willing to pump billions of dollars into it if necessary. Mm-hmm. Eventually, they'll declare themselves a publisher, and it'll become the new on-demand.
Well, are you afraid of your channel actually being removed or banned from YouTube anywhere near the future?
No, because if my channel is removed, I would just make another one for using YouTube as a jukebox, and I would use BitChute. So.
I'm just gonna read this off. This will probably be our last question we have time for. Our friend, big fan, and usual co-host is asking, what are your thoughts on how once something is gone from YouTube, it's many times gone forever? Like the history professors who got classrooms info pulled from YouTube.
Oh, is this a question for me?
Yes.
I would say archive as much of the good YouTube stuff as you can that you enjoy, because I've actually experienced that myself, and not because of censorship, but just because of people that I was subscribed to that would like yank their channels randomly, they'd take videos down randomly, and I'll never be able to see that content again. So I've started archiving as much as possible. You can use like YouTube MP3 for audio. Downloading video is easy, like the MP4.
Yeah. Yeah,
by the way, disclaimer, not telling anyone to do that for anything that's copyrighted.
Yeah, thank you. Saved us. Because I noticed that I think today that Gavin McInnes just backed up his entire YouTube channel because he's worried he's going to get pulled, which is probably likely, considering his association with the Proud Boys and how much big tech hates the Proud Boys. But I wanted to emphasize, though, one last thing, is that, like you said, and it's very important for people to realize, is while some of these bans may be political, it's mostly because of money. It's mostly because they want to appease the advertisers. Because if you have anything risky, advertisers aren't going to like that. They're not going to advertise on your platform, and you lose money. YouTube's a business, so money's the end goal. But I'll leave you with one last final thought of anything you want to say. And tell us where we can find you and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on tarlwarwick.net, easiest, and it has links to everything else, or on my YouTube channel, STYXHEXENHAMMER666, but if you just Google that, it'll be fine. What I would encourage people to do is just speak out against censorship at all costs. Don't be afraid, because it will pass by just like every other moral panic has.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. And yes, like he said, his website is tarlwarwick.net. I've been on. He's got his books on there, his videos. You can support him on Patreon, Subscribestar. He's got his BitChute channel, Daily Motion, YouTube. I think he even got a blog on there and whatnot. Nice merch.
Yeah, 2 blogs.
Oh, 2 blogs, yes. And
I'm fancy now.
Yeah. And anyone that has 2 blogs knows that they've gotten somewhere. But I love all your work. I love your content, and I just hope you keep doing what you're doing. And I'm glad you came on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Just hit me up.
Sure. Thank you very much, Styx.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.